Our culture is based on, hierarchy, and that hierarchy is based on people on the top are really special and talented or good or better than you, and the other people that are not there are victims of whatever life's brought them and should feel guilty and ashamed.
Yes.
You have to wallow in those feelings a lot. So
Yes.
feeling like you chose something gives you a sense of power, and even if you choose something that's bad, you still can say, I chose it, so I can unchoose it. Whereas a victim is something happened at you and to you. So you feel like it could happen again and again. It's not up to me. So to feel that whatever has occurred to you, both good and bad, is up to you, and is up to, the outcome is up to you, and you can change it and learn from it, and keep picking something else if you want to. Keep changing it a lot if you want to, until it becomes the creative medium that you want it to be. That it changes in the way that you like the creation you're creating. So you have to go through that period of being very angry. Being on the spiritual path is very difficult for people to go through a period of being very angry. Because you're supposed to be very nice on the spiritual path.
Very right. But it's
So,
nice.
yeah, so it's doubly nice. So in the conventional life, to be fulfilled, you have to never appear angry as a woman. You have to appear like you are taking care of everybody and everybody's feelings. You have to sacrifice your choices and your feelings to make everybody else happy. That's the definition of a real woman. In a spiritual community, that's even more emphasized than ever. That sense of goodness, a sense of how that's used to keep women in place in conventional societies as well as spiritual communities. So to get angry is a big matter. And even men, to get angry is a big matter, but you have wars. You can go out and get guns and kill people and cut people off and yell at them, and you can show anger, but women can't show anger and be legitimately recognized as having a valid reason for it, or making their own choices. So that's inside the women's experience. All the movements throughout history for the gaining of the betterment of any culture or place or city or peoples was always at the sacrifice of a woman being able to go forward with her own. She always had to sacrifice it, and that didn't serve anything. All of history, 50% of history is excluding women and their contributions. Women don't know them. We act like, oh, we're just coming into our contributions. We didn't make any all those previous thousands of years. We're just now having the right to make them. We gained our freedom to make them. Well, no, we've been making them all along. Nobody's been sitting idly by. Nobody. Especially women. So. All right, well, we went over a lot last week, so it looks like Tori's fired up in her next life. Or maybe she could do it in this life. You want to be a teacher for women?
I could write stuff and talk for them.
Okay.
I'm into them.
All right.
I just feel like it's
Anybody
important.
want Tori to do it? Or happy for her to do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank
All right, awesome. I don't know how you're going to do it, but I didn't know how I was going to do it either, so. I just gathered a group of women in a room, and we just talked about the assumptions of being a woman. Are they real? Are they who we actually are? What's our experience of those assumptions? What are those beliefs? And we had to look at them, and I think Adita had reality considerations. Well, we looked at it from the point of view of our experience of a woman, what we were told was a woman, what we actually felt, what we suffered by those beliefs, what we didn't want to believe about those beliefs, how difficult it was to assert our own individuality and generate our own experience, how difficult all that was in a world where we're just being talked over and not listened to. So. But the one thing about not being listened to and being talked over, just go about your business and keep it done.
I'm
And
free.
you got all this done, you got all this done, and people look, how'd that happen? So you don't need people's permission, and you don't need people's, bonding to you to help you do it. You just need the guts to do it. And your anger. You need your anger for a while.
You don't even need an audience or
No, you don't
anything.
need an audience. You don't need an audience for anything you do.
You don't. at
You
all.
don't. That's the ego making things up. Like, why be an artist unless people appreciate your work,
Right.
or why be a healer unless people give you awards for it. Why be anything? Because it's right for you to be it. It's right for you to do it. That's real service, a real karma yogi. Looking for that you have to get recognized for it, for anything you do, as a means to enjoy it or justify it. That's the ego. That's the ego trip. And it's hard. It's hard to do stuff and want to be recognized for it. It's really disappointing. It's really hard on your nerves and your heart, because if you do it because it's right for you to do it, and you follow your impulses and are willing to do the work to improve and continue with it and master it, it's really good. You made all the decisions. You weren't making decisions based on what your audience, or how much records you sold, or how much money you made from the medical world, how much recognition. You're doing it all out of your own impulse towards it, your own inspiration. So, and where does inspiration come from? Does it come from you or somebody else?
Mystery.
That's the mystery of your deeper self. So you come up with something and you do it and it's pretty good. And is it enough to know that it's pretty good? Do other people have to all come over and give you awards for it?
Not to know that.
What's that?
I think so that
Very nice.
Very nice. It's a funny world, huh? It's not too much fun here. What's that? What's inside a woman's experience at 16?
A lot of introducing of that, not being allowed to be angry, suppressing stuff like that.
Do you think your anger is out of control?
No.
Yeah. We're led to believe that too.
Yeah.
Yeah. What if you actually were to really follow your anger all the way through? What would happen? Say you're mad at something. Or mad at some person or something or some idea. What if you followed your anger all the way through? What would happen?
Change.
Change?
Change the situation.
Nice change.
Yeah. So you followed your anger all the way through. What happened for you, Tori?
I felt freed of incredible burden of thinking I have to please men, and that's the purpose of my life. Freed of it.
You're free of it.
Yes.
Watch out, guys. He's not taking any. He's not here to please you.
It's not anger at men, it's just I'm not believe that
No,
at all
I
anymore.
just don't believe that idea
No, I
anymore.
don't believe it.
Some ideas we're given are just bad ideas. Is it really kind of bad just to please yourself?
No.
Because underneath everything, you're just a hopeless bad person. So if you please yourself, you can do hopeless bad things. Maybe. I don't think so, though. No. What do you uncover? When you get past all that blind assumptions, and then you have the anger to see that they're not really real or true. What do you find that's deeper?
What your heart wants.
What your heart wants?
Love to love
Happiness, love, the divine wants to know the divine.
So you get to love deeper. Ooh, love is scary stuff. So vulnerable, isn't it?
Finally feels like that you love yourself, able to love yourself.
Yeah, if you can find one of those things, call yourself. That's myself. I love her. No, that's myself. I love her. That's why I have all these pictures. Well, that's the experience of women, and like I said, at the heart, no one's a man or no one's a woman. Everybody's the heart. The heart's sexless. But we're living in a condition where we're playing out games of polarity, and we're checking out what works and what's true, and what doesn't work and what's untrue. So I think you all have pretty strong opinions about that, at whatever age you have.
coming in, it was you who I witnessed
Yeah.
the whole time. You stay with
Didn't you
it.
do any work? You didn't do any work?
Well, you asked me to do certain things, yes. But my own, it's because you introduced, you open up a patriarchy and you break it.
Yeah.
And then look at your circumstances and show. And then you watch it after you walk. It's so interesting. Like, look at the TV, woman getting more stronger on the character. And then you say, I like that program because, so-and-so woman is getting stronger.
Yeah.
So you see the result also. And you walk. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. Does any women get to be God?
No.
No. Does anybody get to be God? Does Jesus get to be God?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does Buddha get to be God? But none of you guys get to be God, right?
Mm.
No. That would be presumptuous. Terrible. You would make a terrible God. What would you do if you were God? You ever think about that? What would I do if I was God? And there's a little bubble, and it's a comic, right? What would I do if I was God? Comic series. Oh, world peace. You think God's working on world peace? A lot of people pray to God for world peace.
Yeah.
Think God's like, world peace is a good idea. I wonder why I haven't thought of it before. I think God is thinking about world peace.
Maybe already delivered it.
Yeah.
Why won't they open up the package?
It's right there. Some guy, saw it on your doorstep after Amazon delivered it. No one gets this piece. Think God has a plan for everybody? I heard that saying. God has a plan for everybody. Just the good ones count, not the bad ones. Jeez, my life's like shit. I'm just a drug addict. God had a plan for me.
I guess it's in step with destiny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why am I making rat slippers?
You think God is the personal one that's deciding things for the world? No? What do you think? No, you don't think God's the personal one deciding things for the world? No. Just think if there was a personal guy deciding things and he was like, man, I'm not all that smart.
Right, yeah, we're all decision making skills.
Where'd you go to college? Some people think there's a personal God deciding everything. Some people don't.
Uncle
People just
Doc.
call God
Uncle
consciousness. So you think I'm deciding things for you?
I feel you. I don't know how to say it. Like if I'm thinking things, sometimes I consider it as you. That's my inner you in my heart, and it's almost like a voice. And sometimes I even hear a sentence of what seems like a good idea right then, or what would feel good right then, and it's like an influence, and it influences me. It's something I'm very attracted to usually, or like a better
What if
idea
that's
than
just
I
coming
might-
from the depth of your being?
Yes.
Yeah, which I consider as you.
Yeah.
Oh,
How
on
you,
the depth of your being.
yeah.
That's
How
my
you,
thing.
my own higher consciousness.
That makes me a personal God, right?
Is that
Personal
personal?
God.
You're everybody.
No,
That's what
but
everyone knows.
it's universal.
Depth of
So there is
everything.
no separate self, you say.
That's true. There's no separate self, so it can't be a deeper God either.
I see.
There's just only God.
It's
What do you think about who's God? You.
What do I think about myself?
No, about who's God or.
Well, what I think, who is God? No one. Everyone. Everything's God. But how do you recognize it?
Lose the medium.
So he just, or the thing just put us here and like, okay, do your own business and he left or whatever. Right? Something like that?
Kind of, but it's not as sad and pathetic. You're way to truly to understanding that. It's not really sad or pathetic. Just do whatever you're doing. It's not really sad or pathetic.
Well, pathetic?
Pathetic. You know what?
Yeah, like it's not.
Ah, okay.
Like a loser.
Like nothing matters, kind
Like
of.
nothing matters.
Yeah.
You know, like
nihilism.
if you knew you were gonna die in 6 months, would life become more precious to you, or you're like, fuck it, nothing matters, so I'm gonna eat
I don't know.
10 pizzas
You
today.
could choose a, yeah,
Yeah.
well, you could do.
So
both, I guess.
one person might say nothing matters, so I'll just indulge in anything. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm just gonna die. And that's pretty much how most people live, even though they don't know when they're gonna die, right?
Mhm.
So something about life is terrible to them, and something about that you don't get what you want when you want it's terrible, and something about that you can get ill and die, or there's COVID, it's all terrible, you know. So just fuck it, just indulge in whatever you want because it's all terrible, right? You can have that point of view, or you can have the point of view since it doesn't really matter. Try all the things that you were afraid of before, like being vulnerable in love, or climbing the mountain, or, you know, having wild sex, whatever
I
it
like
is.
that one.
She's like, what? Out with her. Yeah. So most of humanity looks at it like, oh, we don't matter, I don't matter, we're just gonna die. There's so much suffering, there's so many things you don't have any control over, you can't do what you really want. So, and that, for some people, that gets them on the spiritual path too. They want to find the God that will let them do what they want.
So the first case will be some people that they don't really care about finding God, for example, or they don't,
Yeah, they'd be
they are
like
not
that.
aware or something.
Yeah. Well, how do people find God? They say, where do you find God? Google. Finding God. Let's ask Alexa, see what she says. Alexa, where do you find God?
Here's something I found on the web. According to holyoke.edu, God is trapped inside her medicine cabinet, inside her television set, inside the stack of romance novels on the nightstand next to her bed. By the way, I noticed you haven't asked me to play radio in a while. Remember, you can just say, play radio.
God with the commercial.
Random.
I think Alexa's had a little glass of wine.
Friday
Friday nightcap.
We should do that one Friday night. We can have a glass of wine. You want to do that?
Yeah.
bring that as some next week.
Okay, yeah, that'd be nice.
I thought she was gonna say Radiohead.
What's that?
I thought she was gonna say Radiohead.
You haven't played Radiohead in a while.
Tommy would be sad.
Now, if you knew you were going to die soon, is there anything you would want to get to?
I'd like to squeeze more love in your.
All right. So, what's stopping you?
Nothing.
The idea that you're not going to die soon. So, you have time, right?
Yeah.
So, which idea is true? Are you going to die or not?
Am I going to die?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to die.
Okay. And you want more, give more love, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter the timing. It's a matter if you get to it. How are you going to get to it?
No pressure.
Just do more loving gestures.
All right. Got any ideas how to do more loving gestures?
Yeah, stop the ugly ones first.
Oh, stop the ugly gestures?
Yeah.
What's the ugly gestures?
Talking over.
What's that?
Talking over somebody.
Talking over somebody?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Don't do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, maybe.
Huh?
Attention. Good attention.
So when you write in your journal, you can say, geez, I know I'm going to die, and I want to get some more loving done before I do that, so come up with some ideas and try them. That's a creative medium of sadhana, see? That's when sadhana becomes your creative medium rather than just a set of rules or procedures or rituals you follow. Because sadhana is very creative. So as a lover of love, as that has value to you, to know the heart, that's what you need to do. You know you're going to die, and you said you want to love more, so you have to figure out, what am I willing to try? So if you choose it, you can't be a victim of the spiritual path, or the rituals, or your meditation not working out. You can't be guilty of anything. You can't be ashamed of yourself. You just try things and see if they work. Then you go, that one worked, that one didn't work. That one wasn't really that loving. This was more loving. And how do you know you're succeeding at loving more?
Less contraction.
Yeah. It's so easy to tell everybody in the religious world, the spiritual world, what not to do. And it's so easy to tell everybody what to do. But it has to be your own impulse. You have to choose it. So if you're not choosing it, you're being a wounded female on the spiritual path. So if you choose it, if you don't, if you say that's what I really want and you don't do anything about it, then yeah, you won't get the results. It doesn't matter so much whose fault it is. It matters you're not getting the results. You know, it's like you want to be an artist, but you don't do art, so you're never going to get any results. Then you say, well, I'm a failure. I didn't do it. It's not about that. It's about results. So you would have to do some art. And if you do some art, you can learn something. You do more art, learn more. You might not be the best artist ever lived, but is this an ego trip? Or is this your love for art? If you do everything for ego trip, then you lose the sight that you love it, or you love doing it, or it feeds you in some heart-fulfilling way. So if you knew you were going to die in 6 months, what would you want to do?
Be more creative things. Maybe go to a couple places I want to go to before I go.
Because I'm bringing this up because Neil's been faced with cancer for how many years now?
7 or 8.
7 years, 7, 8. So he's been faced with that question. And as he continues his journey to fight it, or to live with it, or to get treatment for it, or whatever course of plan seems, what his heart and what he needs to do is, he has to say, am I doing what I want? Is it my decision? He can come to me and say, what should I do, Santosha? But I can't answer that. Only you can answer that. And am I deep down inside of you, the deeper person that's really you? This always was that thing with Adida as being the other. It was very difficult. Is he the other? Is he deep down in your heart? And you're the other, and he's the reality of you? All these kind of questions are kind of really based along egoic separation.
Yeah. And you have to be the ego.
And you have to be the ego role. But, and you have to live the life that you're living in.
Yeah.
Not the life he lived in.
Yeah.
You have to live the life you're living in. And what does that look like? What does that seem like? You like the life you're living in, Daniel?
Not completely yet, no.
Yeah.
But I know it's possible, and you showed me
Definitely it's
how
possible.
to do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not doing that, I'm complaining.
When you're not doing that, you're being the victim, or being guilty of something, or ashamed of something, ashamed of yourself. This is your life, you own it, it's good enough. It doesn't have to be like, or look like anybody else's, it's good enough. So that's God's plan for you. God's plan was, it's good enough. Okay, now, live it. Live it as the heart. Now there's different realizers that came and went, and deeply spiritual people that were kind of crazy and dumb and ordinary and ugly, and you can name it. You know, they were everything. It wasn't everybody was just like, so why not you, right? You can't be ordinary though. Because ordinary just means what? You just follow all blindly all the assumptions of the separate one, hoping to be fulfilled by the culture and taken care of by the society you're living in. You remember the 60s, all the hippies went to India to find their guru. What did they find? Maybe they found a guru, but they still had to live in the life they're having. And they still had to be responsible for their choices. And that's the struggle with people. When you find a band you like, or a musician you like, or a president you like, you just want to bond and go along with that. And be taken care of by it. But it doesn't really work that way. Nobody's living in your life. Do you know what it's like to live in your life completely? Like you own it. It's my life. You know what that's like? To be in your life completely, and to approve of your own life, whether people approve of it or not. To be in your own life, choose your own life, and approve of your own life. That's very spiritual to do that. But it's hard, right? Because you realize that you're not going to be taken care of. You shouldn't be taken care of. Right? We're always bonding to the culture to be taken care of. You know, if there's a shortage of something, or some crazy things happen and everybody's wanting, we all have this kind of TV mentality where we're all going to turn on each other and cannibalize each other or whatever, or take to the streets with our guns and shoot on everybody who's got something. And why are we always afraid of the worst that you can see? Because we don't choose to be the best that we can be, to be the best that we know we are. I know everybody can be the best. I know you can do it. But you have to stand in it. You have to say, I'm choosing it, this is mine. What is it to be on the hero's journey, right? Or the heroine's journey? What is that like to be? Well, for you, because you said you want to love, give more love before you leave, that would be to take the risk for that, to do that. And there's nobody saying, are you doing it? Are you not doing it? Are you getting anywhere? This is your mother calling. There's nobody. It's just you. There's nobody in my life that said, how's the spiritual path going? Did you get your meditation done today? No. So you have to really want to, own the life you have. Really own it. Appreciate it. Choose it. Every day you say, I chose this life. I chose being me. I chose this. I want it, and I want to go deeper. But how deep this can go. How beautiful this can be. This experience of being myself. You ever just say, oh, it's so beautiful, I can't stand it? Once you get there. You ever feel that way?
I was looking at pictures of my phone and I took some pictures of myself. I was like, man, I'm really good looking. I was like, why am I judging myself?
You do.
Yeah.
You look at it, the one little imperfection. And also, you can have flaws, even if you're a realizer. You can be absent-minded, maybe, perhaps. You know, hard of hearing or something. Or grouchy at times. You can have flaws, but what matters is your strengths. See, if your flaws rule your life, you don't get to live your strengths. If you live your strengths, then your flaws, just minor things. Minor imperfections say like, why am I looking at that? I can see the whole thing is really beautiful. Right? Yeah. Nobody had a perfect life or didn't have any flaws, including all the great spiritual realizers. But their strengths were overwhelmingly good. So when someone's a great painter, you don't go, well, this one painting's not good, so therefore all his body of work is, so what? Or he yelled at his wife yesterday, so who cares about him being a good painter? So a good karmic life is when your strengths get developed and your flaws don't interfere with that development. That's a good life. That's a good sadhana. That's a good journey. When your flaws begin to dictate how your life is lived and what you can experience, then that life is depressing. And then all your strengths don't get any voice. They don't move you. You don't get to go anywhere with it. You don't develop. So if you want to develop, everybody knows what each one of you has strengths. You know what your strengths are, right? Does anybody not know their strengths? You know your strengths? Then they're not the same as the next person. So it's not, no one's all the same in a spiritual group, and everybody has the same strengths and the same flaws. And so what is it to be in your life? You know, this saying, be here now. How do you get to be here now? What is it to embrace the moment you're actually in? What is that like? Or how do you do it? Okay, I'm in this moment. How do you do it? It seems like a statement everybody agrees is true, but how do you do it? That means you can't have any thoughts about any other time. Okay, in this moment that I'm thinking about taking a nap later. Oh, not in this moment then, am I? Taking a nap. It's confusing. How are you in the moment? How do you do it? Well, that self-acceptance of your life. Owning it. Saying, this is my life. I'm going to respect it. I'm going to love it. So one of the things Tori described over the years is her lack of connection with owning her own life and loving it. It's just, I just have to get by, and somehow it's hard getting by. I'm going to have to please a whole lot of people and do a whole bunch of stuff and say a whole bunch of things I don't really want to do so I can get by. But getting by is not good enough. And you didn't really get by. Nothing happened, really. Just time passed. So, because of those bad assumptions and your self-awareness growing, your strengths started coming forward. And what strengths did you find out you had that you didn't know?
Say no to something I didn't want.
Yeah?
That was great.
But what capabilities did you find out that you had?
I love music. I did that all my life. And then I have other creative capacities. I feel like if I really wanted to do any kind of creative thing, I could put my attention on it and do it. So then there's certain things that you revealed to me, really, the bees, which I just love. And I love doing that. And I also love teaching kids. I love teaching kids.
So there's a lot of love based on learning what your strengths are. So your life is the life that you love now.
Yeah.
instead of it's based on wrong assumptions and flaws. So, you still have flaws?
Yes. You could ask my roommates. Okay.
But do they get in the way
No,
of living that life that
I
you're
don't feel
talking
slick
about?
at all, no. I know they're there, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
It's
have to feel guilty and terrible about them the rest of your life?
no.
Okay.
No.
See what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't have to feel terrible and guilty about them. Does anybody feel terrible about themselves in any way? Like, I don't want to own this life. I don't want to be in this life. I don't really like myself. What's not to like? What's wrong with it? You ever go in a forest and your favorite tree is the one that's the most gnarliest looking? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You should take the perfect looking tree, not the one that looks most gnarly. You know, as an artist, what do you like to draw? You know, and you draw some beautiful looking people, then you look at other people and go, oh, look at that. That's very unusual. Look at the lines, or look at their weird looking. I want to draw that. Right away you're attracted beyond the superficial ideas of perfection as soon as you scratch the surface. So the idea of perfection that you were given is if you bonding along as a woman to a man, they will make you happy. And you found out, they don't know anything about happiness either. Because they're not owning their life either. There's no culture and no big president's going to do it for you. There's no anybody. It's you. What if you're the only person left in the whole world? Would you be really lonely, or what'd that be like? Like you go outside and no one ever exists anymore.
Be an adjustment, I think you could still be happy.
No. And just take care of yourself. But that's what you've been doing all along. You just don't recognize it. So if you're with somebody and they make you feel like you can't really generate your life and take care of yourself or be in your life without them, then you know you're not in a good relationship. They don't let you to own your own life. You have to own your own life. So, any other questions? Any other statements? So Ellie knows she's hot now, that's good news. Well, that's good news for me.
In this one,
Yeah, she's hot. Everybody's hot. But some people. When your strengths match your hotness, that's a pretty good combination. Or when you have charisma and hotness and strength.
Oh boy.
Sizzler.
That's what I like. So next time you're coming down, you might say, I want charisma, I want good looks, and I want deep spiritual strength. Wow, that would be quite a life. You might have to be a goddess or something. Wow. All those goddesses assured me that they weren't good looking all the time.
Oh, yeah.
They also assured me that we're not Hindu goddesses, we're goddesses. So, we don't like the labels. So do you think your life is going well? Everybody's happy with it? Is it remarkable in ways that you appreciate?
Yes.
Is it remarkable for you, Emily? If you were to sit down and write a story of a great character, would it be you? I have this idea of this great character. It's all based on me. You ever feel you walk into a room and everybody wants to know you? Anybody have that feeling? No? Something to work on. Well, if you're a rock star, everybody wants to know you. If you're adding down, everybody's afraid to know you but wants to know you. If you're, well, I guess anybody you've heard of, right? And people you haven't heard of. But you ever go into a room and say, I want to know that person. Like sitting in a lobby somewhere, an airport, or on a plane. So you have all had that experience? You think anybody's had that experience but you? Yeah, well, that's good. And so nobody thinks like, oh, nobody would ever have that experience about me. Why? You ever look at somebody as a complete stranger and give them complete heart permission to be themselves? Do you ever tell them, hey, it's cool to be you? Try it sometime. Oh, that'd be your homework assignment. Go to some crowded place and inwardly tell people as they pass that it's cool to be you. Enjoy it. Don't say it out loud, just inwardly. Look at them inwardly. Remember we were at Banff one time? Yeah, we were at Lake Louise walking around, and I said, oh, I have this impulse to give a spiritual transmission to people, so let's walk around.
You try to find someone.
Yeah, and I said, all it takes is that someone looks at me for 3 seconds, and they receive it. So we're walking around, and you would just look away.
It was weird.
They deliberately walk away.
Yeah.
So then we looked at each other and said, well, I don't think it's going to happen today, so I just had that impulse, but no one's here to receive it. And just as I walked away, I looked down, and there was a woman sitting there, and I looked at her, and she looked at me, and we just gazed at each other for a while. So I found that one person. But anybody can do it. You don't have to be totally enlightened or spiritually advanced. You just have to want to give it to people. Give us something good. So try it, yeah. So go somewhere that's people are around and look at them, and I mean, you wear masks now, so I don't even know. Just look at them briefly and say, I'm giving you my heart permission to be totally who you are.
That's beautiful.
And sometimes, people hearing that permission is very important. They should know it, but they don't here. People don't know it yet. What if the Vice President and Kamala Harris, when they said that to each other, and looked at each other and say, my love is with you. Let's debate. That's what we need to be doing,
another
saying to
world,
each other. Yeah, we're not doing anything like that. We don't set up any of the rules that love is first, and then we go from there to figure out how to change things for the better. We don't start with the love. We start with who's morally better and who's right and who's wrong. Well, everybody has flaws. All candidates have flaws. They all have strengths.
At the end of the debate, they took a question from an 8-year-old, and she got more love coming out of her than they just sort of, wow.
Yeah,
We're going to talk about that for 90 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Well, love doesn't have any spot in our reality. Everybody's putting up signs thanking the firefighters, but no one's saying, I love you guys, thanks. I love you women, I love you guys doing this. My love is with you. Just thanking.
That's different.
Would you rather be told you were loved for doing something, for being who you are, or would you want to be thanked for doing a job?
Love.
A little more personal.
It's more real. Yeah.
It's more vulnerable and real.
I had a private client, an older client who, I think he was in his mid-70s, and one of the last times I saw him, his younger brother had died, and he was kind of upset about it. And I worked on him, and then after I finished work on him, he's like, thank you for taking such good care of my body. And it was just a very sincere thank you. And I'm just like, God, that was very touching. And I really appreciated that,
Sweet, yeah. So any questions? Anybody want to say anything? How about in the world of screens? Anybody want to say something over there? Everybody looks good over there. Had a good week?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it was very busy, but a very good week.
Oh, good. How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, it's okay.
Sigh.
It's all right.
Sigh.
All right. Yeah. Let's see, what time is it? I don't want to tip you out at any time.
Oh.
I don't want to be a jip. Anything you'd like to say, Alia? So Dan, anything you'd like to say?
Thank you.
How about you, Josh? Anything you'd like to say? You were brave enough to come sit here on Friday night.
Oh, no, I'm happy to be here.
You love your life?
Yeah.
Good.
I mean,
You gonna love it some more?
yeah. So there's things I want to improve, but mostly think it's positive.
Yeah, so everybody got what they needed and what's good for them. Nobody got gypped. God didn't gyp anybody. That personal God somewhere. I don't know where does she live? Let's go to her house. Where does that personal God live? Let's see. 5395 Alpine Street.
Oh, that's not where is 53.
What city? Oh, won't give that part. It's a good time. It's a good time to be alive. It's a good time on your journey. You know, me and Neil went to his cancer appointment with doctors this morning and it's been smoky for like a month now. It's it's the perfect day.
Perfect day.
It's the perfect day. Every day is the perfect day. The weather's struggling. It has some flaws. But it also has some strength. You still can breathe.
It's only a
Still
month
do
out of
stuff.
the
You're
year.
still living. So it's perfect. Everything you've been given is perfect. You get up and say, oh no, another gray hair. Perfect. Another wrinkle. Perfect. Oh yeah, it's all perfect. Why is it all perfect instead of just terrible? Why isn't it just all terrible? Get real, Santosha. This is terrible. Because your happiness is a lot bigger than any of this stuff. You can find out if you go deeper. Happiness is pretty big. You can be happy under this place, under these circumstances.
Right.
But it's not that bad here.
Yes.
It's not that bad. I mean, look at your day. Pretty pleasant, most of it, wasn't it? Was there anything really difficult today in your life?
No.
I mean, we were in a, you went to get your cancer checked. Even that wasn't. You just sit there and
Still a pleasant day.
it's so pleasant. So if you really look at the moments, you really can't find the moments that somehow you come to the conclusion that life is so difficult and terrible and we're all going down the toilet. You just look at the moments, and that's how you can be here now. Because the moment itself is not bad. But you don't choose to notice it. You don't choose to own the life you're having or the time you're in. We all incarnated in time, our age here, and probably anybody younger. We said, what would it be like to live in a materialistic society where you can get all sorts of stuff and have fun with it? What would that be like? So we tried it. And lots of it was really fun, right? Going to the movies and all those restaurants and all the fashion and creativity and all the arts and all the great places you could travel around the world and see, you know? It was pretty fun. So it was a good dream, but there's also some flaws and consequences of this dream. But it doesn't make the dream itself terrible. Or a stupid, terrible impulse that we all had to come here and do this. In fact, we still want to do it, right? Now we just have a few more consequences we have to deal with. It's not that hard. So next week, we'll talk about your experiment. So did anybody write it down? Oh, okay, it's recorded, so I forgot.
But you gotta say it loud or just in the mind?
Just in the mind, but you have to look at the person. They don't have to particularly look at you though, but you have to look at them.
So we can do it to the back of their head.
No, you should be looking at them.
Okay, got it.
And because people wear masks now, nobody knows
Oh,
what
no,
you're
yeah.
doing anyways, what you're looking at, you know. What would it be like to be in a room and people want to talk to you? Because they feel something about you. What would that be like?
That could be interesting, it would open you up.
It would open you up, and also you would be actually in the moment, in the experience of being here. Most people come into the room and they're not in the experience of being there, they're in their heads about something else. But what if you're actually there? It's like everything is so damn interesting because it's actually really happening. The stuff in your head's not that interesting because it's not really happening. You can sit in a room and say, oh, okay, there's Ellie, and there's she has, and this is paintings, and feel this energy, and there's the people on the screen. It's all so fascinating. There's so much going on, and so many layers and levels of it. It's like overwhelmingly good TV. You know? It is. And if you're here, you're really in it. It is like that. And in all that, the ecstasy isn't coming from all this, but the ecstasy is allowing it all to arise as this creative play. And nothing bad is happening. Nothing bad is happening. But we're so conditioned to be unfulfilled, and not to be here, and not to own it, and not to notice the ecstasy that's arising. We're so conditioned not to notice it. But it is. You can be at a restaurant, see two people fighting, and still feel like, whoa, fight's going on. See, the ecstasy doesn't come from your experience. It's just there, if you notice it. But you notice in ecstasy, anything can happen, which makes it Tantra, which makes it interesting, what makes it kind of a very strange perfection. Because anything can happen, not just what you give permission, or what you think is right, or what you think is wrong, or what you think is beautiful, or what you think is not. So you come in the room and, you know, you're say, wait a minute, can I contact the ecstasy here now? Is there any ecstasy here? Is there any happiness here? And if you look, and you're open and you're vulnerable, immediately it's like, and everybody starts looking beautiful. The people that have cancer and they're sitting there going, and they look at them and they seem beautiful. And then they look at you and they see that you see them as beautiful and they go, oh, hi, man. Oh, hi. It's weird, but it happens all the time. When people have those little kind of breakthroughs where they contact ecstasy or happiness, and they're not looking for it in experience to get fulfilled, and they contact that and think they got enlightened. Because just even a minor experience of it is so beautiful. But what if it was always happening, and that was your yoga all the time? That would be such a deepening of your enlightenment. What would that be like? Well, you can test it, you know, all the time. And in the earlier years, my sadhana and afterwards, I would test it all the time. You know, I'd get on the bus and everybody's sitting there going, you can hear their thoughts going, and I'd look at them and say, is there any ecstasy on this bus? And I would feel it, and I go, yeah, it's there too. It's everywhere. But people are unaware of their own ecstasy, their own happiness. Why?
Haven't noticed it.
Haven't noticed it. Because no one said notice it. No one was happy enough. You can say, well, why can't you be happy? You know, it doesn't work that way. Huh? You have to be happy to show them you can be happy. You're not happy.
So many people were coming up to you at the place. You know?
Yeah.
At least 3 or 4 before I went back. So.
Yeah. While you were away, a couple of people too. People just say, oh, I like your earrings, oh, I like your, oh, I like this. They just want to get in on the vibe. They don't know what it is. I just look like anybody else. I'm not the hottest lady in the room. But
Happiest woman in the world, yes.
I'm beingness. The beingness woman. So sometimes it's good to go out and just see where everyone's at and what everyone's doing and just bring your happiness there. You can bring the happiness instead of looking for the happiness and experience. Just say, can I contact happiness? Without looking for it in this experience. So when you go to the guru, it's like, how are you going to make me happy? How's their wisdom going to make me happy? How's their transmission going to work? You know, huh? Come on, come on, come on. You're not really good unless you prove that to me. What if you just came in the room and just said, okay, I'm just being as happiness in a room full of someone who is already happy. But what happens is, if you bring it in and recognize it, then it deepens. Then when you leave the room, you say, oh, it's still there. Oh, I can do it now that I'm in my bed. Oh, I can do it now that my kid's crying at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can do it now. So you test it out. And you find that ecstasy exists everywhere under all conditions. Even like if there's apocalypse and people are running around with guns. Under any condition, it works. You go to hell, it works. You can be here, it works. You can be in a cancer ward, it works. No one's really a desperate person. Everybody is having their experience that they need to recognize ecstasy, to recognize themselves as the bliss of being. We're all having the experience we need, because this is a place of contrast and suffering. That's what you encounter to learn it. But you also encounter someone like myself, or someone like you too. We're all available. It's easy to get to see me. I just wander around. You can come in the room, you can come online. It's not like people are knocking my door down to be happy. You just have to come and bring being happy the best you can. What's the best you can do with it? You say, I want to. That's the best you can do, right? I want to love. I want to be open. It doesn't have to look a certain way. It doesn't have to be a certain way. I just know it's here. That's conviction. That's faith. You don't have to believe. See, real faith is not believing some idea. Real faith is being open. That's it. You're just open to that happiness. That you are the bliss of being. You're just open to it. And so when things come along that say, no, you can't be happy now, you're like, oh, maybe I should test that out. So you don't force God on top of it. You look to see where God is being located as your very self. Where is that? You know? How to locate God? Well, we had that address, Alpine Street somewhere. But 53 or something, I don't remember. She's making me forget already. I can't go hook up with her. So if there was nobody left in the world and it was just you, you could be God. And live as God. And know God. Nothing's required. Adidava said everything's a unnecessary modification of consciousness. That's just a way of saying like everything's really groovy and love. All this bliss of being. That's his way of saying it. He puts it that way so you don't get attached to any experience or anything appearing and begin to identify it as your limit. It's not anywhere out here. You know, so if the guru looks at you, it doesn't look at you, oh, doesn't matter. You know, when I used to see Rama, he would never look at me. There'd be a long line of people going by, and he'd say, hi, how are you? Da da da, and you, oh, and you. Come up. That's how just ignore me. Not always, but in the beginning.
But he also used to talk to you psychically.
Yeah. And sometimes he used to walk around in between, well, I guess in the middle of his talk he would have a period interlude and he would walk around and would walk around or go to the bathroom. And I remember seeing him on the other side of the room and he was looking over at me and he started talking to me inwardly. And I was like this and he goes, yeah, you can hear my thoughts that I'm talking to you, right? And I said, yes. He said, this is how we're going to talk to each other. Mostly how we always did. So nobody knew that he had this deep connection with me because he kept it very sacred and private. And so that's your relationship with God. It's sacred and private. It's yours. So you can be the guy in the room that's just already happy and not counting on anything to happen or anybody to do anything or to have good news about your cancer. Hoping you don't have bad news about your cancer. You can be happy. Wow, happy under that circumstance seems impossible, doesn't it?
That's right.
Well, we're not, everyone's going to die, so
Yeah.
you're going to die sometime. You just don't know when it is. You might die through a disease, you might die when you're younger, you might die when you're older, you might die just from falling down and hitting your head and that's over. You don't know. There's no judgment on that, what kind of person you are. You're just supposed to get out of here. You're not supposed to stick it out forever, so. How people die is, if you die of COVID, terrible. It's your time to die. You finished your journey. You know what you're doing. All the people that died of COVID, they knew what they were doing. Their hearts knew what they were doing. But maybe the culture and the mind of the culture doesn't know what they're doing. And if they believed it, then they believed they didn't know what they were doing. But they know what they're doing. I respect that. I respect their journey. I respect that journey in this kind of context was over. We're all going to die. So some people are going to die of a disease. Some people are going to die of boredom. Anybody ever die of that? So it's just good being in the room with guys, in the room of the world, being with you, and telling you, and showing you, you're happy. You can be happy. It's your choice. It's not a choice of being happy because the world is a certain way or isn't a certain way. It's because happiness actually exists as your true condition. And it actually does exist as your true condition. Like so, you're trained to believe you got to get happy by doing something or by being with someone. You don't. It's actually a true condition. So whenever you were happy with being someone or doing something, you tapped into that you are happiness. But you mistook that that event created it for you. You don't create it. It's actually already existing as you are. That's the great secret of everyone.
You just gave yourself permission in those moments.
Yeah. And then you mistook that those moments were pleasing and pleasant to you, so they were the reality behind it. So, whatever's happening. So, in the pleasant times, test it. In the unpleasant times, test it. And downright terrible times. I've seen this man go through a lot of cancer treatments, a lot of cancer therapies, and bringing his love and light to it, and laughing and smiling and bringing love to other people. I've seen her giving birth and going, is everyone okay? Does anybody need anything? I've seen it under all conditions that people have been okay about being happy, the weirdest, darndest times. So, you can. It's not something you get or you deserve. It's who you are. You are happiness. You are love, you are happiness. All the good things, you are that. And if you believe, flaws that you have, they're not about you not being love and happiness. What are the flaws about?
Contrast.
Contrast, individuality. Like I know all your flaws.
Being humble.
Yeah. Learning humility.
Yeah.
Learning to give way to what's beyond the sense of your ownership of yourself as the ego. Like if you really own your life, you go, well, there's no personal one here, no personal one doing anything, no personal God directing anything. That idea for most people is terrible chaos that depresses them. But if you actually really know that, it's actually static knowledge. So that's how you can tell that someone's deeply in their journey, because that information and living it and testing it and knowing it is static. Where other people are like, I'm going to die in 6 months, well I tried. I think 6 months is a long time to do a lot of fabulous things if you want to do fabulous things. I'm doing exactly what I want at all times, and I'm happy. And you might say, well, why would you want to go to Fresno and sit in the cancer lobby with people having cancer? I don't know.
Because.
Because. You know when little kids say why, and you say because, because. Stop asking why. Don't ask why. The answer is because. We all know that. It's because. Be the cause. Because. So yeah, so test it out, and then also do the experiment of giving somebody else that permission, and see what it's like to look at somebody and give them that permission. If somebody comes by and gives me that permission, I'll go, wait a minute, come on over. What? That's amazing. People are more like, all right, you're the guru, prove it. What's your teaching? What stage of life are you in? No one says, prove how happy you are. Nobody ever does that. Prove it. Prove that you're happy. Okay. Well, spend a day with me and you'll find out. You're happy. Are you happy? Are you a lot happier than you used to be? Okay. How about you, Jerry? You're happier than you used to be? How about you, Ellie? Happier than you used to be? Neil?
Oh yeah.
So if you can say yes to that, you're doing something right. You're doing maybe sadhana. If you say no, then you're doing something else. Maybe a job, maybe religion. I don't know. Maybe a scientific method or something. If you study all the patterns of unhappiness, you won't locate happiness. If you study all your flaws, you won't locate your perfection. You gotta go right to the perfection and right to the happiness. But the biggest thing is you have to give yourself permission for it and own your life. So this is how my life looks, and this is how I'm going to know and live and deepen happiness in this life, in this age, in this time, in this culture. The culture doesn't have to get better. The world doesn't have to get better for you to live this and understand this. It gets better if you live and understand it. If I'm here living and understanding, that means other people can, and other people are. And maybe that gives permission for a whole lot of people more too. So you have to find that out. If you give yourself a deeper and deeper permission, and you locate your own happiness, regardless of the experience you're in, how does that affect people around you or the world you're living in? If you were at the debate, what would you want to say? What would you want to do that was different?
As a candidate? Like a debater? Or is it audience?
No, any way you're looking at it.
Let Kamala talk.
Yeah.
Walk out. Later.
Remember when people used to do streaking?
Oh,
That would be hilarious.
I was thinking about that today, for
Yeah.
some reason, or yesterday, saying, God, when we were 18, we would streak on the Navy base. So
Yeah.
I'm going, God, now they throw you in prison. It would,
Yeah, that's
it would
right.
be
As long as you didn't touch anybody, you had a mask on.
no, they were 12 feet away.
12 feet
Streaking
away.
with a mask on.
Streaking with a mask on.
can't tell who you were.
Alright, so
So awesome.
good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go and do your work of happiness.
Oh,
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.